it's not every day you get to sit down with two of your friends and have a chat about something really important in Southern Illinois. And I've got two of my friends here today. One is Stan Reno. He's the city manager. He's the former chief of police of Carbondale. And the other is Steve Mitchell, the economic development director for the city of Carbondale. First off, guys, hi.
Hey, Tom.
Thanks for the tour.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I mean, this is the new multimodal building. This is really palatial. I mean, it's nice. You know what really, we want to see what people in
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, when the train rolls in, as it just did, the people will be here. So
I just heard it.
yeah,
You did too. Maybe our mics did too.
yeah, we're exceptionally proud of it.
You know, one of the things I find interesting today about today's conversation is Stan Reno is a unicorn. Have you ever been referred to as a unicorn?
Maybe not in a positive way, but
I want to hear about the negative way sometime. So you've been with the police department before you were chief 24 years?
28 years.
28 years. Yeah. Your dad was 24 years.
28 years also.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, that was
28?
That was why it was such an important accomplishment for me, but yeah.
And so then you went for city manager. Do you know how many neurologists there are in Carbondale?
I probably need a few more, but yeah.
There's 8.
Yeah.
There's one city manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the entire state, around 80. I had a hard time getting a number.
Yeah.
It's a unique form of city government for Southern Illinois.
It is.
The only city manager I know, Steve. Our badge, Gary Williams, and some of the others through
He
here.
gets a Mount Vernon, yeah.
Dory Bigler and Anna, is she, I don't know if she's a city manager, but she,
City administrator, but there's still a strong mayor there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think there's a population cut there for city managers. And, you know, there's 8 neurosurgeons, 1 city manager, and that makes you, in my mind, a unicorn. And then the fact that you had 28 years as in the department and then yours as chief.
Yes.
I mean, you interned when you were in high school or college at the police department.
Yeah, both actually. But I was in the very first Citizens Police Academy class with the mayor, Mayor Carolyn Harvey. That's just a coincidence, but we were actually in the very first Carbondale Police Department Citizens Police Academy class together. So,
You know, and I think that makes a unique qualification for someone to be able to see the other side and from a really practical sense. I mean, you patrolled from midnight to 6 a.m.
I have for many years. Yes.
All right. I mean, there's an insight that's afforded with your history that most city managers don't have. I mean, it's not like, unless I'm wrong, there's a city manager class at SIU. I've never seen one.
Well, there's certainly some education geared toward that type of work, but no, there's nothing that specific. And if there is, I certainly haven't had the pleasure or opportunity to take it. But I do have the knowledge of the community from, you know, again, to your point, from working almost every angle and unfortunately seeing it at its worst and now getting many more opportunities to see it at its best.
Who do you work for? Because this is the city manager position, meaning people in Southern Illinois are unaware how this works, and it's actually a pretty interesting story. That's why I wanted you to break it down.
Yep.
Who do you work for, Stan?
I work for the elected body of the city council and the mayor, and so and of course they work for the voters and the citizens of the community. So you know, through it all, I work for the community, but directly I answer to the elected body of the city council and mayor.
And still, from the outside looking in, it appears as though you're in the middle. You're in the middle between mayor, the city council and mayor, and in between them and the public, and in between the city council and special interests. It seems to me like you probably ought to have a checkered shirt or black and white striped uniform.
Yeah, I have a lot of plates spinning on a lot of days, and I have a lot of competing interests at times, but you know, I take pride in the fact of just trying to give everyone a voice and balancing out everybody's opinions and needs and figuring out how to put that all together for the success of the city.
So you and I and Steve have a long history with Southern Illinois and with Carbondale. We've seen it change. We're in the midst of change now. We all agree?
Yes.
Carbondale is a hub. Hub for what?
Well, it's a hub for so many things. It's transportation, it's education, it's healthcare, it's entertainment, it's social services, and that list goes on and on.
retail.
Yeah, retail. Thank you. And so we continue to try to, you know, provide a little bit of everything for everybody. And Carbondale has always been that way. It's always been a welcoming community. It's been a place where people feel comfortable to come and express themselves. and look for maybe that service or provider that they can't find anywhere else in this region or in the surrounding community.
Carbondale still synonymous with SIU?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I look at this now because I think the math has changed, and I want to pitch you my idea. Because in my head, I can look and say SIU equals Carbondale and Carbondale equals SIU. Now, my way of thinking is SIU plus SIH equals Carbondale.
Well, I think we're all partners together, but we always, I mean, there's hardly a conversation that Steve and I have or we have with community members or different community entities or groups where SIU is not some part of that conversation. So we are always the first to recognize them as in their important partnership, their importance in this community, their importance in the future of the community. And then always looking back on the past and building on that. I mean, SIU has always been a part of that. And so, to your point, there are a number of other very important services and things that are offered in the city, but SIU is a big part too.
All right, so SIU and Carbondale are synonymous. Carbondale population, the most reliable number I could find was 22,223. SIU enrollment is 11,785. Now, when I moved here in 1987 or 88, somewhere around there, a little foggy on those dates, the enrollment was between 23 and 24,000. So if SIU equals Carbondale, Carbondale equals SIU, when you lose half of your student body, that leaves an impact.
Yeah, it certainly does. And, we've studied this a lot and looked at different trends across the country and other university communities and how they've responded to similar experiences in terms of dropping enrollment and I hate to bring up the COVID word, but that was a big impact on the enrollment in the community. And I can't speak for the university necessarily, but I can say that they have done a tremendous effort to build up enrollment and to attract more students here. And Steve will talk more about it, but that's something the city's a part of, and we 100%.
Yeah, I want to get Austin Lane's frequent flyer miles.
Yeah.
I was asking about his credit card. So you run those on frequent flyer miles, don't you? Because as much as you fly, but we get some free flights out east. You bet we do.
Yeah, you're referring to their Saluki tour that they've been doing across the country, and it's been nothing short of impressive. And the number of people they've attracted to those events, and the buzz around that listen, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. We're to take it to the potential students and show them what SIU is and what the city of Carbondale is, and attract those folks here. And then really reaching out and making those connections with alums that are so important, to tell their stories and to share their experiences of why they love SIU so much and how they, it really built a part of their lives. So yeah, the university has done a great job, and I'm excited to watch them as they continue to build on that.
When was the last time you had coffee with Austin?
Well, I don't drink coffee, so even after years of working midnights, as we talked about, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do talk to the chancellor on a fairly regular basis, and if I'm not talking to him, some member of our city staff is talking to him, and if it's not directly for the chancellor, it's one of his staff members. So those channels of communication are open in so many different ways, and we have a high level of respect for both, our institutions of the city and of course, the university. And we're here to prop each other up and support each other. We're not always doing the same exact work, but we have the same goal, and that's for the success of each.
You know what bothered me when I was going through these numbers? The 37% poverty rate in Carbondale. Because I'll be honest with you, there's more than one time that I've seen that number and gone horse hockey. That's just no. I've lived in more than one place. I mean, you get impressions everywhere you live. But I would, quite frankly, still argue the point. I would argue with somebody about it. Nilsson, here's the statistics. Well, I'll still argue with you about it. Would you?
Well, it's kind of hard to wrap my mind around that number is where it's at. I think that there's a number of contributing causes to that. And one of the most forward-facing things that you see is a result of our housing stock and our aged out rental housing properties and our multi-unit dwellings. The market here is not the same as it was, 20 years ago when we had the 20,000 plus enrollment, and the students were filling up every, nook and cranny in the city.
And the ones surrounding,
So those residential opportunities are still there, but they're obviously at a much lower rate. So there's, and there is affordable housing here, and so a lot of folks identify like, I can get an apartment for a lot cheaper in Carbondale than maybe I can in other place because landlords want to fill those locations up. So that's a part of it.
I was one of the SIU faculty, and I wish I could remember who it was now, told me, no, it's misrepresentative because of the average income of a college student is included, so that misrepresents the poverty rate. They're not in poverty, they're students, they're college students.
Well, and that's a big part of it for sure.
Yeah, that's always been my argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
College town.
Right, it's a college town. And, I mean, I grew up with the college kids year after year after year. Well, we all grew up together.
Ramen noodles.
Right, you beat me to it, buddy.
Yeah.
And ramen noodles and a slice.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I think it leaves a wrong impression. 37% poverty in one of the biggest towns in the hub of Southern Illinois, the capital of Southern Illinois. No.
Yeah, and I think again that's not a unique trend just to the city of Carbondale.
Yeah,
that's a nationwide trend that you're seeing. But yeah, to your point, we are a little skewed in terms of we have a population that most aren't full-time employed, or employed at all, perhaps, or maybe doing a student job or something on campus where their annual salary is substantially lower than the average. So that's a big part of it for sure. And then, the other parts of it is, there's a lot of, again, social services here available in Carbondale.
Right.
And so
it draws people.
Yeah, it certainly does. And so when you live in a primarily rural area, then once you get, 10, 15, 20 miles outside of the city and people are looking for those types of services, but don't necessarily have, steady income and things, they'll try to relocate to the area where, they can have providers.
All right, Steve Mitchell's joining us. He's the Economic Development Director from Carbondale, and he's the one that he and I are going to be chipping in to buy Stan his unicorn shirt and hat.
Yeah, don't drag me into
Be
this.
very careful about the shape of the unicorn and the front. We don't need that kind of pressure, but trust me, we're going to have unicorn. It's going to be big. It's going to be big, Stan. Trust me.
Start a trend.
Looking forward to it.
Now, here's the thing, and Steve and I have talked about this for years. We're good friends. We chat about this because, and I've mentioned this in several of the interviews, if you want the future to be waiting for you there, when you get to it, you got to build. And in this case, Steve, I think it's adapt and build. Now, I just said my math equation for Carbondale, SIU plus SIH equals Carbondale. That's kind of a tight footprint economically. For the capital of Southern Illinois, you need a bigger footprint, don't you? You need more. Is that what we're in the midst of right now?
Well, first, the capital of Southern Illinois, that's a bit of a stretch. I would say we're...
I don't know, I figure when this airs, I'll go, oh, there's Mike Absher.
Well, it's just out of respect for all the other communities in Southern Illinois, right? They all have something to bring to the...
By the way, Google is the one that says you're the capital of Southern Illinois. I asked.
Who might argue with Google?
Could argue.
Right. But to your point, yes. I mean, we've been a university town since the 1800s. SIH has grown into the largest healthcare employer in Southern Illinois.
Big footprint.
Two big footprints, bookended on either side of our downtown.
Yep.
So obviously, they're going to make a big impression. We're an eds and meds. Because of that, we're an eds and meds community, right?
Eds and meds.
Eds and meds, education and medical. And that's actually, it being a university town has made Carbondale what it is today. The welcoming that Stan mentioned, the diversity that we are blessed to experience here, it's really created the personality. But I think where your question is going is, we're really reliant on those two industries. And it's my opinion that we really need to diversify our employment. So we're taking steps in that direction.
And in the process of adapting, the way I have it right now is adapt equals build. Like I said, I do rough math. It's kind of easy for my brain here. Right now, our hub, the hub Southern Illinois, we'll call it that, all right? 9 active construction projects. You got restroom, super block, Gravity Avenue multi-use path, the Main Street water main project, the bike path, mud line, New Era Events Plaza, the Oak Street Rehab, Pleasant Hill Rehab, Wall Street. But the biggest is where we're at right now, and we're in this multimodal center, and this is an impressive piece of work that has clearly been well thought out. But as long as it's taken to get it, people go, well, you're darn right, it should be. Well, it is. We met that. I think that expectation's been met. I mean, he took me on a tour. We'll show you some clips and the price of this. But this place, gentlemen, is a jewel.
It's funny you use that word. It's a jewel of the Southern Line. That was a tagline that one of the Amtrak employees that we were working on in the early stages of the design of this, that's how he tagged this. He said, this is going to be the jewel of Amtrak Southern Line. So we've latched onto that. So it's funny you mentioned the word.
Do we have a rough number how many people come through this place? Because Brad Cole shared it with me once, and I was like, gosh, you gotta be kidding me. No, you think about students. He says, but you think about, the problem is, I've got a friend that comes from Harrisburg, gets on the planes, wife brings him over here 5:30 in the morning, right? Early morning, he takes off to wherever he's going, north or south. Somehow you're not left with the impression of the sheer numbers that are involved in this location.
Yeah, we haven't been fortunate enough to get any updated ridership numbers since we've moved into the building, but I anticipate those coming soon. But I can tell you anecdotally from looking out of my office space, which is just catty corner to here, as Steve's is as well, it is busy here. And when the trains come in,
It's got a pulse.
Oh,
You got to be here at the right time.
yeah, and so we're still in the middle of phase 2 of this building and finishing the construction. So right now there's people that are coming in and that are traveling are parking over at City Hall. So we have the opportunity to see all those vehicles and plates and things, and I've recognized a lot of out-of-state plates coming in, especially on a Monday morning.
From Missouri?
Missouri, Kentucky, Indiana even, I see, but a lot of Missouri and a lot of Kentucky both. And so I know that people are traveling here in, 30, 45-minute, hour ranges.
I got friends of mine that periodically text me going, let's go to Chicago. I'm like, you seen the price? Let's just go because we can.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing like, getting off the train in downtown Chicago, and being immediately right in the middle of the heart of everything that Chicago has to offer. So it's a really unique opportunity. I encourage people all the time, if they haven't considered it, that they should. It's a relaxing opportunity to go up on the train. If you have work to do, there's certainly the opportunity to get that completed. Or if you just want to relax and watch a movie or whatever it is, you walk right in here. Parking is easy. You step right onto the train. There isn't a lot of long lines, or any lines for that matter, to wait in. And it's just a really more stress-free opportunity to go to a great place like
I did an interview with the Walker's Bluff general manager and Tom Griffith and the Chris Pageant. He's marketing. And they said, what do you look for in a place? Anything that's easy. What do you mean? I said, I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to be in a line. I don't want you have to wait for this. I just want things to be easy. I'll be there when you say I need to be there and the plane's going to take off. No. Easy. That's what I heard you describe.
Yeah. And so Amtrak has done a tremendous job with that. And, the route, it's reliable. That's another big thing that's, it's very, very rare that there's any delay in the train or, something that has to be rescheduled. I don't know that I've even heard of any trains being canceled for any reason at all. So the reliability, the stress-free, the easiness of it, it's all very appealing to folks.
Carbondale has a long railroad history. It's good to see it continue. But you upscaled it. I mean, the room that we're in now, what's this called, Steve?
This community conference room.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Steve showed me a place that anybody can use for a work location, and it's got a lot of resources, including a small coffee machine and all that stuff you need.
Co-work Carbondale.
Co-work.
Yep.
And then you've got MantraCon. MantraCon's doing a lot of work, a lot of different places. You may hear the name, but you're not sure exactly what it is. You may want to do a brief definition of what MantraCon's doing.
No, yeah, not a problem at all. They administer the workforce, the Department of Labor workforce program. And so they help train or retrain people who are either unemployed or underemployed. It's extraordinary.
I know people are going through that retraining process.
I know a lot of businesses that take advantage of those programs.
Yeah.
It helps offset the cost of
Who's
labor.
running MantraCon now?
That is Stephanie Robinson is the CEO.
Okay. I don't know if I've met her yet.
Hey, before we leave the multimodal and the foot traffic, one
Yeah.
thing that does add to the foot traffic here is every mass transit district stops here. Rides does.
Really?
South Central does.
Because that's another interesting you mention this because Walker's Bluff just said, the bus is now coming here. I'm like, I really didn't know that.
So Greyhound Flix Bus now which is an affiliate of
And rides?
The rides.
Jackson,
South Central. Yeah. Are you familiar with Flix at all?
No.
Flix owns Greyhound. It's a European-owned company, and they travel the routes that Greyhound doesn't travel, and they both stop here.
Well, that's interesting. Buy it and fill in the gaps. That's a pretty good, smart idea.
Yeah.
Germans?
Yep. How'd you know?
Sounds German.
Yeah.
We will make this more efficient. So when is it done? When is the multimodal sector? Well, wait a second. We're not done with what all's in here because you've made carve-outs in the building to help locals, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an artist,
Job seeker.
a job seeker. It's not just a train. It's way beyond a train station. Stan was telling me there's an SIU section.
Yeah, we really wanted it to be a resource center too. So with all the things you did described, and then also we have a dedicated space for SIU to have a presence here. Because we want people that's coming in off the train, we want them to see all the great things that are offered here in the Carbondale community. And as we've already talked about, SIU is a big part of that. So as soon as you get off the train, as soon as you come in the doors and you come into the beautiful building, SIU will have a presence right there to make sure that, we recognize them, they recognize our partnership with the city, and we want to attract more students here too. So.
I'll tell you, there's one thing that I've learned, gentlemen, and I think you probably are on the same bus. Is if there's going to be an impression made, I want to be the first one to make it.
Yeah.
And I want to make a good one, because if people are told a lie, this representation, whatever it is, they will believe that even in the presence of the truth, if it was the first thing they heard. So when they come off the train, that's the way I look at it. Let's leave them an impression. SIU, there's a reason why I wore a maroon shirt today. I mean, I wanted to, be part of this, part of how this works. And that's kind of what I saw. You come off, I want to leave an impression in the front of your brain the minute you come off, and I want a nice, good, clean impression about my home.
Absolutely. And you come through the train station, we have immediately one of our newest hotels right across the street.
I saw that. Boy, that's beautiful.
Yeah, we have accommodations for folks that are coming in to the city for whatever reason.
It's interesting, Stan, you mentioned that how many times in preparation for this that people talk to us, I just want to be able to walk from one place to the next.
Yeah. And so you get off the train, you have wonderful local restaurants for people that offer people here, within, a block or two. And then obviously you're right on the campus within 3 blocks from leaving the train station. So the location is huge. It's a big part of our downtown. It's a cornerstone of our continuing progress and development for the downtown. And we really feel like it's going to be the catalyst for bigger things.
And a 24-hour vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
You can, I think there's a short period of time in the evening that the Amtrak office is closed, but overnight it's open.
Yeah, that's right.
They still call it City of New Orleans?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
City of New Orleans, the Saluki, and the Illini trains.
Right. You got them all together.
Yeah.
All right. So when is it going to be done? When are we going to have the Blue Angels fly over, right? Elephants, dancing girl. What do you got?
Well, I've got to get my unicorn hat first, I guess. But
Trust me, I'm shopping on that. I'm shopping on that right now. I think we can have that by Friday.
He's on eBay, I think.
What's your address and all this? Because I don't want to go to your.
Speaking of stepping into a new role, major construction projects has been a learning curve for me. Sarah's, it certainly is. But very proud of the progress that we've made, and we are behind schedule. We recognize that, but the way I justify that to everyone who asks me about it, and certainly to myself, is that we are doing it right. And so we're not rushing through the project. We want to make sure that we are building it right, using the right materials, and taking the time to need so that this is a sustainable long-term.
So what do people say about that, Stan, when you tell them that? Because see, I hear different things when you talk. I hear my point of view, which my point of view is, you're the steward of my money.
Absolutely. And I take that serious.
There's that.
Yeah.
But there's more to consider than that.
Well, we want it to be a high quality product, and we want to make sure it's done right. So there's no sense in rushing that. And, that's why we did it in 2 phases too, because we wanted the transportation piece. We wanted to make sure there was no interruption in that. So phase 2 is really just the icing on the cake in terms of additional items or services that we're going to be able to provide, space for Jackson Mass Transit and, SIU and things like that. So we prioritize the transportation piece. We got that going. and now we're finishing a second piece. But to answer your question,
You want to put the water pipes in, right? We want to see the water and the functionality of it, and then we've spread out from there because we've got to still accomplish our goal.
right?
Our goal is not to be an art gallery,
Yeah,
but we can be an art gallery too.
yeah,
And we can show highlighting the creativity of Southern Illinois, but first of it's the duty. See, that's almost kind of sounds like you're a cop.
Well,
The shift has to be done. The hammer has to be swung.
that's right. And you've got to be able to prioritize things. And so that's what we did. We made sure that we, again, got the transportation piece up and running. And we're hoping by June that we're almost a substantial completion now, but, just finishing those final details. And, there's some special pieces that we showed you that are part of the design and construction, and those things take time.
Love the clock tower.
Yeah, we do too.
Is that today? You'll start the clock.
Yeah, I suspect when we do the grand opening, we'll make a point of that.
And Steve was telling me as we were coming in, doing a time capsule too.
Yeah. 100
School
time
kids.
capsule. Yeah, school kids, community residents, the city itself. I've always fascinated by history, local history especially. Southern Illinois. I love Southern Illinois. I love the photos, the old photos of Carbondale and other communities, and that's what we want to give to people 100 years from now. A snapshot of Carbondale's life in 2026.
All right. So, and this is the part that I'm selfish about because, I've been coming to the Strip for longer than I can say without the presence of my lawyer. I would assume the statute of limitations is up on some of that, but we're going to test it. And that's the stage. The reason why, and I told Steve this the other day, I used to come to Carbondale, and that was a city trip. Ooh, I'm going to the big city. And drive from Harrisburg so I could go to the University Mall, play the F-14 fighter game. I was in the chair, and it actually moved in the big screens. Now we blow that away. That was 1984, 85. But the other reason was, came for the bands, came for the music, came to see my friends perform at Gatsby's, right? I came to see them at all the other locations across Southern Illinois. And now, before I get into that, I want to throw you both a hot ball question here. Did Carbondale take SIU enrollment in the 80s for granted because of the trouble that came along with the Halloween is most significant, but there was other issues too. I was here in the middle of it, and I saw that. I wondered, did we take it for granted? And the reason why I'm asking that is because now we're embracing that image. Party in the street. A couple of police officers offered us to take me for a tour. Get out of the street. I'm going to throw that to you. You get the hot potato question. Everyone, what do you think?
Yeah. I can't speak for what the thought process were in the 80s, right? And
The problem was the public safety. Right, of course. I was right in the middle of it. And I said I was part of the debate as well.
One thing I can say about the street parties, especially the ones that we're having now versus the ones that you and I were both part of back in the 80s,
Yes.
is that students are different.
Totally different.
It's a whole different culture.
And the people who come here to visit who thought, this is, I'm trying to figure out a good way to put this. You came to my house and you took a dump in the street and I don't appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
There were people who came from other places who stirred stuff up, and this is my town, right? I don't care for that. There was that too. Students took the hit for that. It wasn't the students.
It was
I
friends.
read the arrest reports.
Yeah, it's folks from all over the state and the tri-state region that would come to Carbondale for Halloween and some Spring Fest and some of those other kind of big events.
Do something there that I'd never do at home.
Well, yeah, you're not at home anymore, right? Nobody knows you're here, so but again, it's a different vibe now. It's a different culture. Students are different. Adults are different. It's a whole different thing. And so having these, like the Homecoming Carbondale street festivals that we've held the last 2 years, attracted thousands of people downtown.
And a lot of social media presence that said show of all ages.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time at Carbondale. Come and join us.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right. No calls for service that I'm aware of. No issues. No property damage. People are picking up after themselves and throwing stuff in the trash.
That's better than the Oscars.
I tell you, it's pretty amazing. So the attitude in the 80s, 90s, I can't really speak to, But what I can speak to is the way we're approaching it now. And we see students as an asset to the city. We see SIU as an asset to the city. We see our creative culture, music, art, fine art, performing art, all that entire group of culture of creative activities. That's all an asset, all part who we are. And if we don't leverage that, then we're missing the boat.
Yeah, first opera I ever saw, Shrike Auditorium. It was
First concert I saw, as you know, a real concert of the music that I was listening to when I was 16 years old, Styx. I saw it right here.
So what about you? What do you think? Did we make a mistake and take those students for granted, or just something that had to happen, Stan, and growing up?
Well, I think it's, it's all about some self-awareness and kind of where we were in that time. And you were exactly right when you talk about public safety. I mean, there was it became a significant public safety risk in terms of the street parties and things that were happening. And, there had to be a response to that, and there had to be an intervention to stop some of the things.
You're right, because I can remember coming and we came first to see the costumes.
Yeah.
And then that changed, and it got unruly into that. I'll do something there that I would never do at home.
Yeah, and so how long do you sanction something that is potentially so violent that people could get significantly hurt?
No matter how economically significant it is.
Absolutely, and but you also have to look at just the culture has changed, and so in the late '80s, '90s, there was still a lot of resistance to alcohol use. Certainly, drug use was present, but not to the level that it is allowable today in today's times and things. So, I've talked about, as you've mentioned, I started in law enforcement here in Carbondale in the mid to late '90s, and the focus at that time was parties, underage drinking, safety of students, street closures, all the things,
I mean, I was at a house one night. There were so many people on the porch. We broke the porch off the front of the house.
Absolutely.
You might have been there a little bit later that evening.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you've seen the tragedies related to those types of things across the country. So, there had to be some intervention steps that needed to be taken to avoid a tragedy that, like I said, that we've seen unfortunately unfold other places. So I'm not critical of necessarily the steps that we're taking, but as we reflect back and look at how that impacted the enrollment, the social piece of going to college is important.
Yes, it is.
We don't want
We had a reputation.
Right.
Playboy's publishing articles about coming to SIU.
The top 10 party schools.
Yeah, right. I mean, any pub is a good pub in my mind, except for the stuff that you're talking about, where parents and my grandparents said the same thing, sitting in front of the television in 1972, going, Tommy, you're never going to SIU. We will not allow it.
So there was a reputation that was held at that time of being the party school and everything, and I think it got to a point where it was not necessarily favorable to the community and to the university as it was trending. So there had to be steps that were taken. And then everything has just changed so much. I mean, as young people, they have different ideas of what entertainment is now, and we see different trends. And alcohol use is not as widespread as it once was amongst the younger population. You see a lot of small group social events where they're using a lot of social media and things like that, and they're not necessarily going to bars as much as they used to.
Yeah.
So that's when we talk about different business opportunities and things going on, we have those discussions with potential business owners and how they want to market themselves and how best to attract students and things. When we talk to people, and Steve's in the middle of an initiative right now that he'll speak about, but when we get feedback from students, they're looking they want to go out and have a decent meal.
Yes.
They want to have some good coffee. They want to be a place where there's good Wi-Fi services and things like that. So they're not necessarily interested in the wild party, big bar scene. I mean, there's still that segment of folks. Yeah,
and it's a smaller percentage.
Yeah, it is. And so we recognize that we're never going to be Carbondale and SIU of the '80s and '90s.
And nor do we want to be.
Right. And so we're not ashamed of that time, and a lot of people have a lot of great memories of their experiences here. And so when we posted events like for the last 2 years of, the downtown concert for homecoming and Halloween, that's a nod to that nostalgia, those opportunities.
Closing the street down, and then we planned for it.
Yes.
Rather than it being an impulse. Those damn students closed the street down again last night. They can't close down the highway. The state highway comes.
Now it's celebrated.
Yeah. And, you know, I
But
guess
if you were there, you're like, I did that.
we've had so much positive feedback. I mean, it's been overwhelming.
That's how it's handled.
Yeah. And so,
Technique.
yeah. And so we're building on that momentum. And so the stage is just another piece to complement that. It's the next cornerstone. I mean, it's just catty corner to this great building. They're designed with the same
Work
features.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we want to be able to offer that, continue to offer those arts opportunities, entertainment opportunities to the community, for the region. And nothing could do it better than this stage. It's going to be a great.
Well, I'll tell you what, when it comes to this stage, it's a good point to come in there because there's a heart issue here for me because it's named after a friend of mine that I had to the point when he moved back here from Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
We put on a lot of shows together. He was my sound guy for a lot of events, whether it was the Blues Festival in Murfreesboro or whether it was Dave Mason at Gatsby's. And because there's been a debate on naming the stage, and the idea being, let's name something, I don't know, Carbondale Event Stage, something, something nice. But it was named in memoriam. You want to go ahead, Steve, and explain that?
Robbie
Because that was a
Stokes.
process.
You're talking about Robbie Stokes. The process itself, Carbondale lives and breathes on public sentiment and public engagement. So we did do a couple of different rounds eliciting suggestions for the name of not just the stage, but the entire venue. You have to keep in mind, this is an entire venue. Phase 2 of construction was going to begin hopefully within a few months to kind of finish out the entire venue. But back to the name, during those two opportunities for the public to weigh in on what their thoughts of the name for the venue and the stage should be, Robbie Stokes kept coming up by a vast majority. So there was a strong.
Robbie Stokes and Joe C. would be my guess. Top two. Was I right?
Tim Beatty was one.
Tim Beatty, right?
Tim Beatty was one.
You know Tim very well.
Big Twist. Thank you. Big Twist.
Twist.
Yeah.
Twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Carbondale has a storied reputation as far as music scene goes. And that's another reason for what we're doing over here is to help encourage that. I heard.
Well, it's hard to say no to that Big Twist. Until you said that, I'd forgotten about it. I'm like, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
But that gives you an idea of the stature that Robbie had with people.
When we started hosting shows over here on a rented stage, how I explain it is we're hosting free shows on a rented stage in an open field, right? And that kind of limits what the talent you can attract, that sort of
It
thing.
limits it, but I also made a lot of money doing it. I did it with Marshall Tucker. We just put pylons in the field and some hay out front, and
There you go.
everybody's catching chiggers for the next week.
Yeah.
We made about
But we focused on local bands, primarily local bands, and to support local music. And you may be familiar with a band called Woodbox King.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I know almost all those guys.
Yeah, well, one of them said to me, I never dreamt in my entire life that I'd be playing a city-sponsored concert in the middle of downtown.
No,
Ever.
You're right. And that year would have been 1985 and 86 and 87. When we were talking about that era. And so now you have the people going, I'm playing downtown.
Right.
So
The city's paying for it.
are you already booking the stage?
Yeah.
Who,
Well, no. We're booking the venue.
oh, yeah.
The stage is so new, we're not ready to book it yet.
Okay.
We're going to host a couple of sunset concerts there. We're going to host our Off the Rails shows there.
All right.
That's sort of a break-in period. We've got to figure out, how the building works and the mechanical parts of it and all that. So before we begin hosting it for real. So this is going to be a break-in period.
Right. Yeah. And and I mentioned this in a couple other interviews I've done recently. Nobody goes and does anything that they have first in their mind imagined doing and going. You imagine what the place is like, close your eyes, you go there, and then you go there. But you go there in your brain first, and I think that breaking in period helps accommodate that.
Well, it helps us too. Work out the details.
So have you got any musical acts in the tube coming down that we can share with people?
Nothing we can share yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing's been, no contracts have been signed. Nothing's been inked just yet.
But the idea is to bring in some of the recognized opportunities like sunset concerts that have been just, they're they've been such a popular event for so many
So
years.
long.
Right.
And so we wanted to give everyone an opportunity that loves to go to those concerts. We're going to do it over here, so you get the opportunity to be a part of this new stage. And so we're excited about getting that out there and giving people the feel for the new venue, even though it's not completely finished and there's another phase. We want to, it's the community stage, so we want to be able to make sure it's open to the community for these, these very popular events that have been going on for years.
All right, here's a tough one. I'm going to throw this to you, Stanoff.
Okay.
I do my research before I do these interviews, and I call and talk to people about what they're thinking. And the Sunset Concert Series happens earlier in the day, and people who are a bit older demographic think it's safer. I'll be home early, and it's not dark yet. I'll leave.
Yeah.
The people I've talked to say, I don't feel I'm safe in Carbondale. I don't feel I'm safe in downtown Carbondale. Now, the people we're talking about, they're not from Carbondale.
Yeah.
They're from the surrounding communities. And to me, that seems like a problem that we're going to have to be able to take on to some of it. Now, if we get some cooperation from a couple of choice knuckleheads and that 1 or 2%, right, that would help. Mm-hmm. But what do you say to people who say, I don't feel safe when I go to Carbondale?
Well, what I say to people is that Carbondale is not unique. I mean, we're a big enough community that we face crime trends that communities see all over the country. And the other thing I say is that, sometimes we're a victim of our own transparency. When I became the
Brad
chief,
Cole told me the same thing. We keep accurate and we make all the reporting. When he was mayor, he says we report it the way it's supposed to be done. Other cities don't, and it's a detriment to the city. True?
Well, it's a detriment in the sense that, there's a lot of information that goes out there because we want to keep people informed. It's not a detriment in terms of that I pride ourselves on being transparent, and I want to make sure that people know that, the city is open and that we're not hiding anything, and that we want people to make informed decisions so that they know what's going on. But by that same token, coming into Carbondale at night does not make you an automatic victim of crime. Sometimes, innocent people end up victims of crime. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's just the reality of the world that we live in. Sometimes people become victims of crimes because of bad choices they make, and they put themselves in situations that, increases their likelihood of becoming a victim. But specific to Carbondale, we've worked very, very hard to remove the criminal element from the community. We're never going to completely eliminate it. But we have sent the message out that if you're coming here to commit violent crimes, you're coming here to victimize our citizens or our visitors, we're going to hold you accountable. And we've worked very closely with the state's attorney's office, and we're proud of the work we've been able to accomplish. And we've seen reductions in crime, and we want people to feel safe here. But we're going to continue to tell it how it is. If something happens here, we're going to put that information out there, and we want people to know exactly what's going on here, because we're not going to hide it. We're a community where, there's a lot of great things that happen, but unfortunately sometimes we have a criminal element that's here as well. So
I'm not a criminal, but I've been arrested here in this town more than any other.
Well,
Just public record. Might as well go ahead and say it out loud.
Right.
I can tell you,
last time I got arrested, TV3 wouldn't do an interview with me about it. So
crime happens in communities all over Southern Illinois, and whenever you have a larger dense
I wondered
populations-
about that 22,223 population. It's the price of being 22,200.
it is.
23.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because these sheriffs going back as far as I can remember says it's 1, 2, 3%, and then they repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. You think it's terrible, but it's only 1, 2, 3%. But the videos, right, of the homeless thing right here recently, that leaves such a long-lasting dent impression of people.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened. It was an isolated incident in terms of, as we investigated that, and it's still, that case is still open, so I can't speak to specifics of it. But what I can tell you is that as soon as we learned about it, we had these individuals identified literally within hours of that video being made public. We identified the individuals, we took them into custody, and we are currently in the process of holding them accountable, and they're being prosecuted.
Good.
So, young people are making bad choices sometimes. It's just as an example.
Part of being young.
Yeah, and this is an example.
The learning curve.
Yeah, but I can tell you this: that's not acceptable to us. I mean, we don't turn a blind eye to that type of thing, and we put a great deal of resources, time, and to making sure that we hold people accountable if they're going to come here and make bad decisions.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you know this. I know I've made this snide comment about it at one point or another, but I've been police chief of Carbondale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I brought the documentation.
Just to prove it.
Well, I figure he's going to go, you know.
Well,
Chief for a day.
yeah. Well, you could
date on that?
You couldn't have been with a.
There a date on that?
I can validate the signature because that same signature's hired me. So Chief Strom is a big part of the history of
I like that. I like that.
and it's interesting because you guys have similar background because he was also in the radio business. So
Yeah, not every day you can say, I'm a police chief Carbondale.
so how often do you pull that out? And then
I just
the car running.
yeah, right.
Since I retired, I'm trying to clean up stuff from different jobs because when I got fired once and I quit another time, and I've got all these boxes, and I just reached in, and this came out, and I'm like, I didn't even know I had it.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
it's a great piece of history, and
Went to the shooting range with the chief.
Well, given your history with being arrested in Carbondale, you might want to keep that in the car.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, you might want to keep that handy.
I think the record for most arrests for me is held by Officer Burns.
yeah,
Kent Burns.
Burns, yes,
And he's followed by Officer Grubbs.
yeah, Jeff Grubbs.
Yeah.
It's nothing like being chained to the wall by a friend. You're going to have to stay here till the courts open tomorrow. Who's the judge? Oh, Lord.
But Tom, to your point about safety, it's also a perception issue.
It is.
You know, and that's, I think
It's how people feel.
and it is. And I think our transparency lends to that. I think there's a lot of factors that lend to that. But one of the strategies that we're using as an organization, as a city, goes back to that stage. You host shows, you bring people downtown, they realize, hey, this is great. This is nothing like what I was expecting.
I had a place to park. It wasn't too expensive. I had a good night out. And then I made it home, and I've had a great night out, and they leave that positive image and go, oh, I wonder when the next show is. A lot of effort has gone in over the it's the Vision 2030 thing. A lot of vision has gone into where is Carbondale going and how we're going to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You look at it as a dinner, right? The plate is set, the silverware's here, the drinks are here, everybody here. There's nothing on the plate yet, there's no food, but this place setting's here. It's ready to go. The thing that I think we need that we don't have, which is going to be hard to accomplish, is the Southwest Connector. I think an arterial graft for traffic and commerce from St. Louis to Carbondale is essential for the future.
I can't disagree. When I look at visitation to Carbondale through some of these mobile location data platforms that I've mentioned, you and I've talked about it a little bit, the most visitors are coming from Carbondale from outside St. Louis, Chicago. We get a little Memphis, we get, of course, Paducah, Memphis, Nashville, but by far, Chicago, St. Louis. So you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head.
And even more important, because if Marion continues to grow, and Route 13, isn't it? We look at this as a blood and arterial thing. Marion becomes bigger. I mean, to play that F-14 machine, I had to drive through Marion to go to the University Mall to do that. But Marion wants to capture some of those dollars now. Mm-hmm. And so our future, still southeastern Illinois. Mm-hmm. But that whole southwestern section, all the way up to St. Louis, is fertile ground for business for Carbondale.
No, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. Years ago, I heard a CEO of a large company who was looking to put a business in Southern Illinois, not Carbondale. This is before I started working with Carbondale. His comment was, there's no easy way to get to Southern Illinois.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
There's no easy way to get to Springfield from Carbondale.
Right.
No.
And that's a barrier. Yeah. That's an obstacle.
Yes.
And so your Southwest Connector, that reduces the friction. The flights from between Williamson County Airport, Veterans Airport, and O'Hare, that reduces that friction.
I think that's another setting on our dinner table.
Amtrak, that reduces that friction.
It's critically important to have that main artery, like you talked about, to the major metropolitan areas, and to bring people down here so that they can see everything Southern Illinois has to offer. Because one of the things that we continue to market ourselves with is the Shawnee National Forest, the wine trails,
Grand Orchard Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like spending a day on the wine trail and then coming back into Carbondale and going to one of our unique local restaurants that offer just the best food around. So we know what we have here, and we want to make sure it's accessible to everybody so they can get down here and enjoy it as much as we do.
Well, we mentioned this Vision 2030 was the plan where a lot of this got started. There's some more plans that are going on. But, one of the issues here is part of that Vision 2020 was to get SIU enrollment back up to 15,000. Now, Austin Lane's working on that. But that was the prominence of that when I went over the material kind of caught me by surprise. We need to hit this mark. We're almost there.
Yeah, and I think we always have to have a goal in mind, and to continue to work towards achieving growth and development, and I think SIU's taken a good approach to that number. They recognize that that's the goal, and they hope to get there. But it's more important to offer a good product, right? They want to offer good education and affordable education, and I think that they're doing a good job balancing all of those things.
Walter Wendler, the former chancellor, now West Texas A&M, told me that the farther away you get from SIU, the more it's appreciated. And I can't help but wonder if that's not the same case for Carbondale as a whole. A recent study published says that 2025 Carbondale is the top 10% nationwide for economic strength. That's something to be proud of.
It is.
Yeah. I think Steve was the first to share that with me, and I'll let him talk more about it.
Well, when you have a poverty rate of 37%, while at the same time saying that we're in the top 10 nationwide for economic strength, those two things, can they coexist, Steve?
Absolutely they can. Yeah, absolutely they can. And the poverty thing is something that's on our minds all the time. It's, how do we, what can we do? What steps can we take to bring more opportunity to the citizens, the residents of Carbondale? That's always top of our mind. But the answer to that is economic development. Bring more jobs, bring more opportunity so that these folks who are struggling to find work that can help them live and raise a family and have a good life is available here. We were talking a little bit about access to Carbondale, to Southern Illinois and the Southwest Connector.
No, the Southwest Connector, the planes, the Southern Illinois Airport, the train station that we're setting in, the buses that Stan brought to my attention.
Yep.
The neurological system, the circulatory system are all...
There's a trend nationwide of urban flight. People get out of the cities and coming to places like Carbondale. I met a person yesterday who moved here from Austin.
I got a lady moving next door to me. She came from England.
She lived in Austin all of her life, and she came here and loves it. She says, Carbondale reminds me of Austin in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I can take that.
Yeah.
I can take that.
What do you want for the city that you don't have? Stan?
Carbondale is going in all the right directions, and we have such a dedicated staff and a dedicated community that really is interested in seeing it thrive and seeing it grow. What I would like to see is just the continued development of and growth of the university, our business growth and development to continue. We have a long list of things we want to accomplish, and I think we're slowly checking those.
Well,
things
Stan's clear. You're big picturing me here, all right? And I get that because I even wrote it in my notes. Stan's going to say housing.
Yeah, so housing is a big piece of it. We need to have affordable housing available to attract more people here. We recognize that immediately, and we've got a lot of age housing stock that we are working on slowly identifying those properties that are blights to the community.
Tear them down.
We're having them torn down. We've been blessed with some grants.
Expensive, isn't it?
It is, and so we've had some grant opportunities that have helped us along the way.
USDA.
Yep. And so we've been able to, I think we're up to 12 or 14 different properties that we've demolished now. That's
about $25,000 a whack. Yeah, not more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Grants help a lot with that.
Yeah. But, what we're recognizing is that we want to, new neighborhoods are great, and we're always open to those conversations, and we hope that we'll see some of that. But we really want to revitalize our existing neighborhoods, tearing down some of those properties that we know need to go, that don't have any life left in them, to open opportunities for new, residential structures and to attract more.
What about you, Steve? What do you want? I mean, you can't say housing. We stole that one from house.
I had more to add about it.
I know you did. If you do, please throw that in.
Move on.
Because I was thinking, what are they going to say? I mean, you can see from here. They're going to say money. They're going to say housing. Well, I mean, it's blatant here right in my notes.
Well, Stan's big picture, let me drill down a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So some very specific things. Number one, we're working on a strategic marketing plan for the city. The first one the city's ever had, ever, in 172 years. So our hope with that, there's multiple objectives with this strategic marketing plan, but some of the primary ones is we want to inform and engage our local residents. We've not taken control.
You have more participation in the city of Carbondale than any other town in Southern Illinois, as far as I can tell. That may be that transparency that Stan told me about when we talk about crime. You're more transparent about it because there's problems come up. People, you know.
Right. But we need to do a better job of telling our story. There's so many great things going on in Carbondale, they just don't get out to the public.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we want to do.
Which is one of the reasons why we're doing these interviews.
Right, exactly. We want to promote tourism. People come here to Carbondale to go do other things, the Shawnee, whatever it is, see shows, whatever it is. We need to do more of that, and we need to figure out ways to keep them here. And then the final thing is that we want to attract residents, and that goes back to the housing, right?
You already in Carbondale create residents for towns from Murfreesboro, Indiana Jonesboro, and Marion because of the faculty of SIU and SIH.
Yep, absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
Play a big role in that. And Carbondale does.
We want to keep them here.
Yeah.
And so every other community has issues with having housing available housing. We're just the opposite. We've got a glut of housing, but it's undermaintained, has been undermaintained. Let's say it's undermaintained.
We were talking about the people never go anywhere and they first, we're not gone in their minds. When people come home and they look at their surrounding, they judge their success by it. I'm successful. I'm how by your surroundings.
But the other part is you listed a number of projects when we first started talking this morning in the infrastructure. Those aren't always the sexy things that everybody likes and can immediately see. But we recognize that we're investing in the future of the city. So we're making sure that we continue to have reliable water service, reliable sewer
The late Heron Mayor Vic Ritter says the number one thing I never want to happen, I don't want my residents to be without water. If we have to go without electricity a couple of days, so be it, but never the water.
I think Steve just heard me say that last week. And as a matter of fact, in one of our staff meetings, and I talked about how all the important work that our city staff does that often goes unnoticed or
right. The water's a good note. I'm glad you mentioned that because you talked to the staff because you have historically high water qualities in the Murdale Water District that have been recognized by the state, if memory serves.
Cedar Lake.
Yeah.
The people who are in charge who decided to build Cedar Lake in the 70s in the heart of the Shawnee were brilliant. And they set the city up for an indefinite period of time.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant move. But one other thing I want to mention, we're talking about details. We talked about SIU. The city has a part to play in enrollment, attraction, and retention at SIU.
Yes.
And we're working on that too. Another thing the city I don't think has done, at least intentionally, is to engage SIU students to understand what their perceptions are, and in order to align our initiatives and our objectives to meet those perceptions and to adjust
perceptions and expectations.
That's exactly right.
Of around 15,000 students, hopefully. That's no easy task.
That's an issue that we've
With
got.
Cultural diversity, you've got to tell a story more than one way.
Exactly. So we that's in process right now. I'm working with a group of SIU administration and faculty to begin gathering this information from the students. Actually, I'm going to have my first listening session tomorrow.
I put myself in your position and what I'm going to hear and what I think I'm going to hear, and then it's going to change in cycles. I don't know how the length of the cycle. It's probably say 3 to 4 years.
Over the last 10 years since I've been in this job, I've had the pleasure of meeting with a number of different classes over that period of time. It's a bit of a moving target, but there's a lot of consistency. And our hope with interviewing a broad scope of students, from those who are highly engaged, student government, that sort of thing, to the average student who's not necessarily all that engaged, to the commuter student, and even the parents of students. If we gather enough information, that will begin to give us some insight about some initiatives the city could put in place to address these concerns that students may have.
There's a business aspect to this, and I hope this doesn't make me sound crass. This number just came out. We've only got it down to 5 digits, so I'm going to try to dredge my memory up. But the state of Illinois has allocated per college student, state of Illinois, $25,375. Maybe off a couple of digits. I think it's 47. For every college student in the state of Illinois, 25,000. You get 11,000, 15,000 our goal. And each one of those students is worth $25,000 annually in state funds everything else aside, that is a number that cannot be ignored.
Well, the other number that can't be ignored is the amount of what the contribution to our on-campus students bring to our local economy. You and I have talked about this in the past.
Well, I'm telling you what, right now, I thought about this with Thrillville and Walker's Bluff.
Okay.
They're looking for employees,
Exactly.
and there's learning experiences that go along with it. It's right over there.
And we have a hospitality program here at SIU. Yeah.
I've known you guys for a long time. I enjoy your company, professionally and personally. But the luxury of before, I had 10 a week that I did that had to be exactly in time and always right in length. Now I get to loiter over the subject, make phone calls. You clearly tell I've done my homework in this conversation today, and hopefully the people who are watching this do too. But the number of people who said Stan Reno is heads and tails above, and unsolicited, Stan, I just, shooting the breeze with them. So I'm really going to do Stan. I want to go to Carbondale. I want to do something out of Jackson County. And they volunteered their high opinion of you.
Wow.
And to see my friend, we've been friends for years now, longer than you want to care to admit, especially after I met those arrests. I tell you, I really enjoyed that. Unsolicited, time after time, Stan Reno was a class act.
Well, I appreciate that. It's very humbling. For me, being in Carbondale my entire life, literally, born, raised here, and never thought I'd be sitting in the chair that I am today or have this opportunity, literally, not in the plans, nowhere in the in the book I was writing, but and so blessed to have this chance. But for me, I put my heart and soul just in anything that we're doing. So, it doesn't matter what the project is or what idea is brought, I want to support it, and I want to support it for the success of Carbondale. I want to support it for the future of Carbondale, because it means a lot to me, because everything that happens, and I take it all very personal, but in a good way, because I want everything that we do to reflect positively.
Right? People don't take it personally. What do you mean don't take it personally?
Well, yeah.
It's my heart, blood, and soul. What are you telling me? Don't take it personally.
And I'm pretty type A and a perfectionist, so I want everything to be right. I want everything, the positive outcomes, and I'm a realist. I know that that's not the way it always is.
Had to be tortured into you, but you got there.
Yeah, and local politics is no walk in the park. I can assure you of that.
Well, I said most diverse community in Southern Illinois. It's not an understatement.
Yeah, and so I think the one thing that's I've really been blessed with as I've continued to move through my career is that law enforcement provided me a lot of tools. And one of the greatest tools that it provided me is the ability to listen and to mediate and to, figure out a solution, path of least resistance sometimes, and to come up with opportunities and try to make sure that we're doing what's best for Carbondale and what's best for its people. So,
isn't it amazing when you keep your mission as priority of how clear everything else begins? If you don't let the bull catch you off, if you just stick with the mission, that things become so much clearer.
Yeah, and I say this a lot, and it might sound a little crazy, but honesty, integrity are huge pieces of everything that I do, and sometimes it makes for uncomfortable meetings because I won't agree to do something that is dishonest.
But here's the thing, Stan, you have this police officer, get this, because I've seen you do it in other things, that ability to be patient, understanding, eye contact, and to be able to explain that to them without being rude.
Yeah.
And that is a lost art, my friends.
And the other big piece, and Steve demonstrates this every day too, is be available and show up and be reliable. And so I pride myself on, if somebody needs something, make myself available to them, and I provide them, try to provide them whatever resource I can to help them.
Well, here's the thing, boys, it wasn't that long ago that Carbondale had a reputation for not being business friendly. You've done a lot to change that.
We certainly have, and we talk.
That's something that is not recognized, and it should be. There was a reputation. I talked to business, whether it was an oil change business or whatever. I worked with all these businesses on a daily basis. Carbondale's not business friendly. Very nice business. That's changed.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's not saying anymore. Tell you what, got to wrap it up. I've abused your goodwill with time, and I promised myself I wouldn't because I like you, but here I am again. So let's wrap this up. What do you want the people of Southern Illinois to know about Carbondale?
It's safe, it's welcoming, You can find things here you can't find anywhere else in Southern Illinois, in some cases the tri-state area. Whether that's a great dining experience, a great show,
Healthcare.
Pardon me?
Healthcare.
Healthcare, of course, education, of course.
Education.
Yeah, that shouldn't be left unsaid. But
I got friends of mine whose kids are coming to SIU early development. They're in high school and they're taking classes at SIU, and they're going to be, boom, as soon as they're done, right in at school. It's happening now.
people come to Carbondale to shop for retail, for groceries, night out, you name it. We're just going to continue focusing on that. We're going to continue leveraging our assets.
So what about you, Stan? What do you think people need to know about Carbondale that they don't know? Maybe even for people in town.
Sure.
Pull a curtain back for me.
Yeah, everything that Steve said, and we are growing. There is growth. There is development that is taking place here, and we have big plans, and we want Carbondale to be the best it can possibly be. We're not trying to make it something that it isn't. We want Carbondale to continue to be known for the center of arts, entertainment, education, healthcare, retail, all of those things. And we want people to be able to live here in affordable housing and to come and really just take advantage of everything Carbondale has to offer. You know, you will not find another community in Southern Illinois or in the even further regions that attracts the types of things that we do here and the opportunities that we offer here. You know, I'm always amazed, you know, like even just some of the entertainment that comes to the varsity and the different shows that are offered there. When you really start to think about these are people that are traveling the entire country that are making a stop in Carbondale and offering this to our Carbondale residents and to our visitors here. Sometimes I don't think we pat ourselves enough on the back and really get that word out enough. And so that's what we're working on. We're working on, you know, giving everybody a voice to hear more of what they would like to see, and then trying to make sure it happens. And the stage is a perfect example of that. So we want to make sure that we are front and center and
Showing off.
yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes you got to show off.
Yeah.
Steve Mitchell, the Economic Development Director for the City of Carbondale. Stan Reno, former police chief, unicorn, and city manager.
Thank you, Tom.
Stan, it's always good to see you, buddy.
It's a pleasure to see you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, don't forget, if you want to send me an email, ask@integritypointmedia.com. And please like. And we also do these on YouTube if you really want to see just how good Steve looks. Thanks for the opportunity, and see you again soon.